Hi, Coach.
Hey.
You've talked about the importance of playing with pace for your squad. How much of that is just a mental commitment versus how much is a physical thing, making shots, snagging defensive boards?
It's both. It's mental in the sense that, coming into a game, having focus on getting the ball out of bounds quickly or getting rebounds and getting it up the floor. Obviously, it's physical just because, you want to be a well-conditioned team in order to get up and down the floor and get into your offense quickly.
Fourth time you've seen these guys this season, and they have a lot of folks on the injury report, but they've also had some young players doing really well. What type of growth have you seen out of them, specifically maybe Malachi Branham?
One thing you know about the Spurs is no matter who steps on the floor for them, they play a certain style. They play hard. They don't quit playing no matter what the score is. They're well coached. And you can see growth in this young team. Like you said, Malachi Branham is coming in, shooting the ball with confidence. He's getting to the basket. And across the board, their young guys have just continued to get better throughout the course of the season. And that's what you want to see.
You went pretty starter-heavy minutes over the weekend in Houston. I know things can change with fouls and matchups, but is that the plan really going forward the rest of the season, to play the starters all those minutes?
Yeah, it's just that time of year where, you'll bump up the minutes, 2 or 3 more than they would normally play.
This is a very good team, and the Spurs that really don't give up the ball, they're very, very good. Number one, actually, in assist to turnover ratio. What are some of the things you have to do defensively to disrupt that?
Well, number one, you can't allow them to just come down and run their offense without any physicality from our part. They're really good at getting into the paint, and their offense starts with that, cutting, DHOs, ball screens. They look to get into the paint. They do a great job of rebounding the ball. And they get up and down. Very similar to Houston is what we're going to see tonight, a young team that's playing with confidence. They were down 24, came back and won. They were up big on Memphis. So you got to bring it.
It seemed like you guys were pleased with the pace you guys played with in Houston. Just what are your overall thoughts on, I guess, pace and getting into early offense in the stretch of games you guys have played without Z here?
It's how we have to play. Is as best we can. We got to get stops, and even when we don't, get the ball out of bounds pretty quickly, get it up the floor. And now you don't always have to run into everything, but call a play, let the table get set. Now you got to do it again. You got to go with force and execute with a bit of sense of urgency for us.
And just how did you feel about your team's fourth quarter execution Friday versus Sunday?
I thought both games it was solid. We missed some shots down the stretch of the first game in Houston. Brandon missed a couple buckets that we know he can make. Trey missed a couple. CJ had a wide open shot. So I thought the execution was solid. Got to take care of the ball. That late turnover kind of hurt us. And then defensively, but we're getting better, and that's the key for us. Continue to grow, especially on the offensive end right now.
And pretty much since last year, you talked about wanting to use Herb more as a ball handler, have him as a decision maker in some of your sessions. What do you think about the growth he's shown in that area? He's had a couple games the past few weeks where he's had some high assist games.
Herb is he's just one of those guys that he soaks everything in. You watch film with him, you give him directions, and he can pretty much take that on the floor immediately and do it. So we want to continue to move him around a bit so he's a key fixture in our offense.
And also, we saw EJ doing a little bit more today before the game. Just what do you think about his progress so far coming back from that knee?
Love to see him on the floor, getting better. He's doing cardio. He's doing his strength work. He's on the floor shooting. So he's progressing well.
Willie, how does the message change to the players from games that are in October, November to now with 11 games left in the season? You're fighting to get into play-in and possibly into a playoff spot.
I think the biggest adjustment with my message is the sense of urgency on where we are in the season right now, as opposed to early in the season, you have time to correct some things or improve, or you're playing really well and we want to keep this. But we're at a point now where you got to put it all together, and that's the message to the team.
Do they even know what the standings look like right now? Do you even try to not bring that up to the guys with everybody so packed from 6 to 12 right now?
I showed them recently where we were because I just thought it was important to, with everything that's going around and, lose a few games, win a few games, we're right there with an opportunity to play in the postseason, and that's what we want. So I'm sure they look. I'll look. We're watching teams every night to see who lost the game and things like that. But I think this is fun for the NBA, and for me, it is as a coach. These games years ago didn't mean much if you couldn't get to the 8th seed, and now, you got 13 teams that are fighting to have an opportunity to play in the postseason. The games mean much more. You can feel there's a bit of pressure, and as a fan of the NBA and as a participant, I enjoy it.
Last year at this time, you were underdogs and chasing something. This year, the expectation is that you're supposed to get there. With this team that is going through this very young group, how do you focus them on that they're not sneaking up on anybody?
I think that's extremely key for our team. We, to a degree, kind of had a target on our backs because of what these guys accomplished last season. And there has to be an adjustment in how you play. To their credit, teams know when they walk into that building, if they don't bring it, our team will play hard, they'll compete, and you won't have a chance to win. Well, teams know that, and that's how they play us. And when we start games like that and have that throughout the course of a game, we're good. But when we don't, it doesn't look great for us. And so having that balance is key for us. Okay, thank you guys.